Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.
Good morning and a very warm welcome to Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios here in Dawson Street in Colombo. And joining me this morning is the horse riding Bandula Jayasekri. Good morning, Bandula.
I'm not a night rider as you are. You couldn't even. Did you use night vision or what?
And we're also delighted to welcome on our program Mr. Basil Fernando, attorney at law and the director of the Asian Human Rights Council based in Hong Kong. Very good morning to you, Mr. Fernando.
Good morning.
And thank you for being on Newsline.
Thank you.
Mr. Fernando, how do you view human rights in Sri Lanka at the moment?
See, the human rights situation in Sri Lanka has remained one of the worst for a very long time. There had been a certain change after the January 8th, but structurally we have not made any advance. To make a change, you must structurally change basically four institutions.
In fact, to interrupt Basil now, you, as soon as the government changed, you wrote a letter to the Minister of Finance, Ravi Karnayaka, based on that.
Yes.
If you could explain on that.
The very day he was appointed, first we wrote a letter which has been published and telling him that good governance doesn't depend on words. It depends on a structure of institutions which will function, whereby guarantees good governance. And those institutions are the police, the prosecutors department with the attorney general's department, the judiciary, and the commission for control of bribery and corruption. Now we said very simply the way to get this function is to give them the funds necessary to function. All these institutions complain they don't have enough resourceful people who have been trained, or they have no forensic facilities, they have no vehicles, and all kinds of no business. Same with the Attorney General's department. They said we have only 50% of the staff we need. The courts says that we don't have enough judges we need, or the houses, for courts to house the. And every issue is that about inadequate funding to run the nerve centers of a nation.
But we are a poor country. Where can we find this money?
We are a poor country because we have not known where to put our resources. The amount of resources that is needed for this is much less than what we have spent. On the one hand, when we had the issue of internal conflict, we increased from about 6,000 the soldiers to 300,000. And then we had all the resources, and that was to deal with the problem. And on corruption, we waste huge amount of resources. What is needed for run all these four institutions is nothing compared to that kind of money. It is not money. It is the fear of the law. When the ruler fears the law, not fears and obey properly, that's fine. But when they don't like the law and they don't want the law, on what do you run a kind of a modern democracy? We are not living in the feudal ages. We are living on modern times, and in the modern times it's the institutions that runs for you. It is not the parliament. Parliament will behave properly. All these parliamentarians will behave properly if you have a proper policing system that investigates impartially. Whatever the complaint they get, bona fide complaint. We are not saying fabricating cases and putting politicians in trouble, and not that. Just genuine inquiries. You will have discipline. Country's problem today is one of disorder. And the former Supreme Court judge, Mr. Kolatunga, before he died, he wrote a book. I spent his last days, almost in tears, writing a book. The title is Disorder in Sri Lanka. Disorder in a technical term means when the institutions that controls a country is so weak that it creates the kind of the lawlessness within which people have to live. You ask the question, how are we human rights? See, human rights cannot thrive with lawlessness. The problem of Sri Lanka regarding human rights is that we are not dealing with the issue of enforcing law. As a result, there is torture in the police stations, there are extrajudicial killings, the delays in the court are so much, we cannot guarantee fair trial, because today people are settling cases. Because you have to wait for, one case that I helped, went on for 15 years, a rape case of a 14-year-old girl, 2001, decided only 2016. 15 years you go through this. Because she was helped by some number of people, she went through, and a very strong character. How many other people will stand through 15 years of going through courts?
And mental torture.
And then what happened? Either you are afraid you don't go, or you feel it's a waste, I got into more trouble by seeking justice, or you settle. You get, sometimes, I'm really shocked by this, that a murder case or a rape case, is settled on the basis that they put a plea, and they get a suspended sentence. Suspended sentences are for small crimes, so that that kind of people don't end up in jail. But the very center of a criminal justice system is the ability to punish serious crime. If you cannot punish serious crime within a reasonable time, then that system doesn't function. So if a criminal justice system doesn't function in a country, by what are we ruling ourselves?
That's very interesting what you say. A viewer has sent this rather long question. Let's just see if we can read that out very quickly. The most important institution that needs changing in this country is Parliament. The performance of Parliament is far below our expectations. MPs don't even bother to attend training sessions. In Canada, they are thinking of enacting a law that MPs should always act honestly, ethically and morally. What does Mr. Fernando feel?
The first premise is correct, that the Parliament need to be reformed. There is lack of discipline. But how? How is simply not by sending them to training. It is by strengthening the police in the country to enforce the law. And if you get Canada, if you get Hong Kong where I live, the law is enforced. Whoever, it doesn't matter. You may be the billionaire, you may be the poorest fellow. If you break the law, you know that you end up in jail.
Right.
And that very reasonably, but they will not put anybody on a trivial charge or a bogus charge. That kind of thing is not there. That you cannot influence by bribery to put somebody in trouble. Bribery has been controlled through Independent Commission Against Corruption. Today, I can say that with 25 years of experience, bribery doesn't exist in Hong Kong. Average person can go and get their things done to anybody without going through a second person or a politician. Politician will be treated as trash if they write a letter saying that, please, it will just go to the waste paper basket. Nobody bothers because the officer who is doing is so sure of his position that nobody is going to punish me by not taking orders from the politicians. That can be created, but the place to change is our policing system and our bribery commission. But to do that, you must change, the judiciary must be put back to where we were. There is in Asia, nobody had been so foolish as us by trying to pull down the judiciary. What did we do in 1972? We took away the judicial review powers of Supreme Court. What happens when you take the judicial review powers? They become powerless. They cannot intervene when a law is illegal and a citizen says, sir, this law is illegal. Please see that, intervene. They say we are functionless because you did not come within the 2 weeks or 3 weeks before the bill is passed. You know, you come to a problem only when you face a problem. At that point, when you cannot go to court. So, you know, we have pulled down our judiciary. And this is what shakes the system. We had a certain balance. We were not perfect. There were a lot of things to improve before 1972 also. But we were basically, there was a reasonable system developing. We should have improved that. Instead, we put it down.
So this change in 72, that was instituted under Mrs. Bandaranaike's regime, was it? Is it fair then to say that this happened because she relied heavily on sort of nepotism and favoritism?
One basic issue was at that time they had a belief that stronger executive and a stronger parliament will be able to be efficient. You know, this is a mixture of a leftist and a SLFP government. Their idea was within 5 years or 6 years we must deliver a lot of things. So the courts create delay. At that stage, that was one of the major problems. So let us pull down the court. Let the court not have try to interfere with this thing. And that is, I think, one of the major reasons. I'm also in nepotism and other things would have had its part. But then the worst come in 78. Then at that point, we virtually, say, we are going back to a concept about 300-400 years ago, which outlawed and built the very idea of a republic. When we make a republic, what we say is, we do not want absolute power. This is dangerous. And the French Revolution, the British Revolution, the American Revolution, firmly the people say, no more absolute power. Divide the power. Separation of powers means dividing power so that one person will not control this. And then there are checks and balances. We removed checks and balances from our constitutional setup. We made our judiciary weak. Thereby we made our police bad. We made our Attorney General's department subordinate to the...
People protested in front of judges' houses.
And through stones. And more than that, you take away the power. Then the judge feels sitting there, I can make orders, but nobody is going to obey this.
On that note, we'll take a short break and come back. But my enduring memory of the changes Mrs. Bandanaike made was that we were forced to dig up our beloved quadrangle at St. Thomas's in Mount Lavinia. Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
News First, Newsline with Faraz Shaukutali.
Good morning and welcome back to Newsline. We were joined this morning by Mr. Basil Fernando, the Director of the Asian Human Rights Commission based in Hong Kong. Mr. Fernando, how important is a right to information bill?
Right to information is the thing on which a democratic system runs, because a democracy is a system of participation. Participation is impossible if you don't know what is happening. So the right of people to know is a natural right. We have delayed this whole law for years and years. And then they say, okay, now we are going to bring a law. Then it is at that stage and keep on delaying. And there is a fear, by the time the law comes to be passed, whether some of the essential things will be taken away. See the difference in India. Indian bill came and the citizens are today making use of this. So the result is, if I am affected by some problem, I don't go to a politician. I go to the information the directors and I file a form and say I need this information, and within a certain time I should be given that information. If I am not given that information, those people can be fined. The people who are in charge, they cannot be fined, and they can be seriously. And I know a number of people, average citizens, how they make use of this. If there is an illegal arrest, or if there's some financial problem.
So that would mean that I could find out, it would be my natural right to find out what went on at the central bank, because I think there was a fraud.
Of course, if there is, because that is the center of the financial problems. And if I don't know about finance, the citizenship is meaningless. My citizenship means that the major thing on which we run our economies is finance.
So Basil, do you mean to say that the politicians are scared of this Right to Information Act?
They are scared because they don't want, this is a problem. See, any other place, they will want a proper financing system to run, because that is the way to run the economy. But for some reason that is very difficult to understand, people don't want a transparent system to run. Then you are digging your own grave.
So you think they are trying to put this under the carpet? What do you think?
I hope they are not. But if they are doing that, then they are doing a grave wrong.
But they are dragging their feet.
That is a problem. You see, when it comes to enforcing the proper law, we are dragging our feet. Every area. This is finance, but take an ordinary crime. You make a complaint about, say, a financial crime, or it may be a murder, it may be a rape. How long it take to have an inquiry? So if we are in a country where crimes are not investigated, there cannot be greater chaos than that in modern times. In modern times, you have to run this like you run a good machine. You can't say this part of the machine, we forget. Then the whole thing collapses. If the law enforcement collapses, there is no hope for any of the promises that. What is good governance? Good governance is there are good laws which are well enforced. That's all. Good governance is not some kind of a big ideal
So
of
it's not some magic.
There is no magic.
Yeah.
Or not just a mere slogan, it has become a mere slogan.
Very simple thing. And we have a lot of good laws. Thanks to the past, there are bad laws also which we can get rid of. But by and large, we have good laws. But we don't enforce the law. So what is the use of any good law if it is not enforced?
But again, one law for politicians and another law for the ordinary man.
That is the reason why it is not enforced. It is not enforced because if there is, the law is enforced, the level of equality in this country will go up. People say for minority issue and all this, the main solution is by some special arrangements in the north. And first, if you enforce the law in general, everybody will benefit, including the minorities. So then they can just resolve when there's a problem, you go to court or you go resort to when you don't have resort to the legal mechanism, then you must deal with extra legal things. This is what is happening in this country from 1971.
See, they talk of corruption here and so on. But we had the former President Kumaratunga say at one point that she had to rely on her mother's jewelry to fund her children's education abroad. I'd like to ask if Mrs. Kumaratunga would disclose to us as to how she funds her frequent visits to the United Kingdom, where she partly lives. I'd like that answered, Bandula. I'd also like to ask the former President Mahinda Rajapaksa, whose finances are nothing but very middle class, and how it is that his family is being accused of collecting so much of wealth. Why don't we start there? Why doesn't he publicly disclose his assets declaration?
We also have
there are 60 odd MPs from one party, 40 from another party, who have not yet made their asset declaration. Why is that asset declaration only for the Speaker's eyes?
Yeah. See, under the law of India and law of Pakistan,
Yeah.
if and Hong Kong,
Yeah.
if any person employed by the government, including politicians who get their salary from the government, has more money than what they legitimately earn, unless they can explain how they got it, it is a criminal offence. It is a criminal offence. Many people have been prosecuted. That all that you have to do is, you have this amount of money, but you are entitled to legitimately on this amount. How is this gap? Now it is for them to explain. Well, maybe I got a lottery, which can be proved. Or my grandmother or somebody died and he gave me the property, and that is how this increased. Unless they can by evidence show legitimately I have earned this, you don't need any more evidence. It is a criminal offence. They could go to jail. They will ask to pay back. All that money can be confiscated.
And also for us that, if they are given any gifts, they have to declare that.
See,
gifts from, like the visiting heads of states or visiting, they have to declare that.
See, any government servant, if he gets a gift, first thing is, even a small gift, he must declare it to his immediate boss. If if it is not within his limit, it must go to the next. So everything that you get is disclosed. So and many things you are not entitled even to have. Now head of the state goes somewhere else, they get a gift. Say the President of United States get a gift as a goodwill gift. He has to bring it, declare it, and in fact if it is a legitimate kind of a thing, and if he likes it, he must pay and get it. If suppose he likes to, now he got a tie.
Will he get a discount?
No, he will not get any discount.
Right.
The idea is, you live by your salary, and we will try to give you a good salary. That's a different matter. We must give our state employees and everybody involved in that a good salary where they could live their life in a normal way. You have entitled to that. Beyond that, you are bordering into, you are entering into a crime area. It is a crime. That is the concept that we have lost. Today if you say it's a crime.
Every day. It's happening
Well,
every day.
actually, whilst you were saying that about gifts and so on, do you remember the case where the former chairman of Sri Lankan Airlines, Mr. Vikram Singh's house was burgled and a watch had gone missing? And it later transpired, it was reported in one of these newspapers.
Children gave. That's what they said.
Yes, but originally they said that the president had given it to him as a gift. But let's say that the president of our country receives a watch. What happens to that? Well, has it got to go in the public archives or some public storage?
See, the first thing is that it should be given back to it is given to the state,
right,
and not to the president.
Right.
And the state can decide whatever it wants to say. Now and then, they may have a sale.
Right.
They may put all these things, and some people may buy it for a higher value.
Yes.
Because they are sentimental value.
What a wonderful idea. Do you think Minder will give us all those things back?
You have no right to information for us.
This is the
You
problem.
have no right to information in this country. Not
so
as yet.
I can ask, but he won't.
No, nobody would give, whether past or the present, nobody. I hope the future will have the right
No,
information.
the issue is this. You can ask, unless the system of law is not enforced in your country, you have no right to reply.
Right.
But if the law is enforced, when you ask the question, that question goes also not only to the person, but to the crime department, and the crime is alerted, this guy has something that he shouldn't have. So then, it is the duty of the criminal investigation department on their own to begin to investigate how this happens. So we are made silent not only by these censorships and intimidation, by the very fact our laws are not enforced. So that today if you say, oh, this is a crime, so what? Imagine because the people know that crime You can get away,
But we are talking of the basics now. See, one law for now, take the traffic. One law for the so-called VVIPs and the ordinary people. So they can just do whatever they want. Now see, there is a Mantiru thing, the lane. There is no law for them.
Mr. Fernando, very quickly as we come to the end of our program, very quickly, within this almost utopian system that you are sort of espousing, how right is it for our dear Prime Minister, Ranil Wickremesinghe, to yell and wag his finger at the media? Is that his right?
See, first, this law enforcement business is not utopia. It is happening, and I'm living in a country where I have seen
and you're living it every day.
Every day. So therefore, what is happening here is the abnormal.
Right.
It's not the law enforcement is abnormal. Secondly, right of newspapers and journalists to say whatever they want is a very essence of democracy.
Listen up, Ranil.
Anybody who is in power should be able to endure criticism, even if the criticism is unjust. There are ways by which you can always clarify. Suppose you are being ethically or wrongly accused, to clarify. But let them do their business in peace, because it is very essential. As much as we need the service of the Prime Minister, we need the service of journalists.
Absolutely. How very well put, Mr. Fernando. Basil Fernando, thank you very much for being on Newsline. We've enjoyed having you. Do come back when you're next in the country. And Mr. Jaisekar, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Shaukat Ali.
Never be satisfied. Always strive to improve, no matter how good you think you are. On that note, I wish you a very good morning. Take care and God bless.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukat Ali.